Mhm. Recording in progress. Hello and welcome to the most awesome trail and ultra running podcast on the planet, Peak Endurance Podcast.
That's us.
Yeah. And with you are your amazing hosts. On your left, Isabel Tate.
Oh, okay. Wait, your left or my left?
My left.
Okay.
Your left. And on my right, even though he's never right, is...
And doesn't he know it? And it's me, Ron Tate.
Ron Tate. I just got off watching Hardcore Harry's. Nikki and I won the most kilometers partner challenge.
40Ks won the most,
Yeah, 527 we did between us. And I did 285 of those.
Right.
That was a tough 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I only took one rest day and I was planning on taking none, but I was so rooted.
That's what
so we would have had 537, but I dropped the ball midway.
Can't be relied upon.
No, clearly not. That was a big 2 weeks, which we'll get to in our little reflection, because it's been a little while, because when we interviewed my daughter, Elizabeth, which she told me later, I never introduced her saying, that's my daughter. Oh. I just assumed everybody would know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my daughter, Elizabeth. Yes. But I thought her calling me mum might give it away.
Yeah, I've heard a few random people in the streets call you mum. Yeah, I've never understood why.
Yes, there you go. So anyway, so that was Elizabeth, my daughter.
Yes.
In case anyone got a little bit confuddled. Yes. So here we are. It's been a few weeks. Yeah. So essentially, we've started doing long runs again. And, you know, we talked about how we did the 30K run and that was pretty shit. Then the 35K run was all right. And then I did the first week of the partner challenge. So like I did, you know, a lot of training. And then we did a 42K run on the Saturday. And that was really shit. That was like, because for a number of reasons. A, I'd just done a whole heap of training. B, that was the first day of my period, wasn't it? Yeah. Like the day. And I just felt like, oh my God, like crap. And like I was in pain before we even started, of course. So, you know, and then I did take some painkillers on the run because my back was just killing me. And they were expired in 23, didn't they? Or something? And they really... I mean,
someone doesn't clean out a pack.
My little medical kit,
you know, pack.
And the seal was kind of like, you know, it was in those foil packs. It was kind of a bit dodgy. It almost felt like it was starting to biodegrade. And and so they, you know, because it'd been in a pack in rain, sweat, you know, whatever. And they didn't really help. So
no. Plus, it was, you know, 28 degrees.
Oh my God, I'm not used to the heat. Hot, humid.
Yeah,
I just
considering
felt like
we're in April,
autumn,
which is supposed to be autumn, and you know,
not very autumnal.
We tend to expect days of around 20.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful crisp mornings, perfect training weather, perfect. I love autumn for training.
Yes, but that weekend I think it was 20 when we started, and
it was just
got hotter.
Horrible. So. And and of course I've been loading up my pack, trying to make it a heavy pack for training. But yeah, I just felt so Scheitzenheisen. Yeah. And you couldn't tell though, could you?
No, it was a complete surprise when
we finished, and I said I felt bad.
And you said you didn't feel great. I was blown away. Like I couldn't.
You would never have known, because I didn't complain once. No, I think you were complaining by the end too, because complaining is contagious.
It is very contagious.
But you weren't feeling your best either, because, you know, clearly your cycle's in line with mine now. Yes. That's what happens when you live together. But also because it was hot and you just felt shit because it was hot. Was
just, you know.
And you've been battling an Achilles.
Yes, I had
mini injury. We won't have a niggle.
Yeah, it was a niggle. It was very much a niggle. And the way I worked on it was just basically to stretch it out every day.
Well, after I niggled you and just would stretch.
Yeah, so basically I had an Achilles niggle and an Isabel niggle. Yeah. And the only way to cure both of them was to stretch.
Yes, that's right. But it helped. All the stretching worked.
So I stretched regularly.
And he didn't stop running. He continued. And in fact, you increased kilometers, because when I did a partner running challenge, you, of course, had to do more running on the weekends too.
Yeah.
You didn't during the week. I told you to cut back a bit during the week, but you did do some bloody, like you did a 42K run and a 50K run with a niggle, and you don't have to stop training when you've got a niggle. You've just got to do the right things, like stretching. And that's why I was banging on at you to stretch, because I wanted you to do the runs with me.
So, and, you know, I could tell each day it was getting better, but I could also tell, because we were extending our runs every weekend, you know, we went from the 25, no, we did
42, 25? We did 42 followed by 20, and then we did 50 followed by 20.
But I mean, for the long runs, you know, we started at 30, then we did a 35, then we did 42, and then a 50.
Because we were going to do 40, but I thought, please make it a marathon, because what's the point?
So all that time when I had that niggle, we were still extending the long
still
runs.
Building.
And I mean, when we were running, I was lame, like I was favouring my other foot or other leg, but you know, I managed to keep moving, and you know.
Yeah, and you didn't whinge.
No, not at all.
But you're not. No, you didn't. During the run, you didn't whinge.
Internalizing my whinging.
I suppose I was doing whinging enough for both of us, wasn't I? When I don't feel good when I'm running, like the world knows, you know, and I start making noises. Don't I? Towards the end of the 50K, there was a lot of.
There becomes a lot of whimpering.
Yeah, and I whimper. Sort of. I know, I can't help it. I just. Yeah, it's I have to, like.
And then we finished last week. We did 50K, which once again, it was really hot.
But I felt better, like, because I wasn't. I was tired because of the amount of kilometers. I actually felt worse on the 20K.
Yeah, and that was telling, because you know, we're getting to that distance where we approach. When Isabel and I run together, we get to that point where I start to flag and Isabel gets stronger.
Yeah.
And that, you know, comes at around, you know,
40.
Around 40 Ks. Yeah. So we've got to that stage now. So by the end of our run last Saturday, Isabel
was going ahead.
Isabel was pulling ahead of me.
I just wanted to get it fucking done. You know, you get to that point, I just want to be done.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was kind of pushing because I just wanted to be done, wanted to go home, you know, right. And because I was knackered. I'd done a lot of training.
And you ran out of water at about
30, oh my God, I ran out of
about
water.
40 Ks, I think it was.
Yeah, and I mean, I had taken 2.5 liters with me, and I ran out. I mean, I had some electrolytes left, but I find that so sweet that I, you know, and oh my God, I had that cottony mouth at Jim Carrey in that movie. What movie was that?
Me, Myself, and Irene.
Which I hated the movie. I didn't even finish watching it. It was just so shit.
So funny. It was hilarious.
Yep. The only bit that was funny was that bit where his mouth was like with the foam. I'm like, oh my God, that is me. And that was me. And we ended up stopping 4 Ks from home at the servo.
At the servo to get to fill up.
Oh my God, just buy drinks.
Yeah, buy drinks.
Oh, because I was so parched.
Yeah, because I had finished all my electrolytes. I still had a little bit of water, but it was running low. So
I had the occasional sip, but I don't know, your pack tastes shit. I said, why? Why does I clean your pack out? Why?
I don't know. Because
it's got boy germs, that's why.
It's boy germs.
Boy germs. Yeah.
So we were really starting to struggle, just, you know, mainly due to the heat for that one. That was
honestly,
that was
you know,
tough.
I thought summer was over, and it was like, I just feel so much better in the cooler weather. Anyway, so then I said, you know, because it was a 285K 2 weeks, and I said, originally we were going to do 55K tomorrow, and then 60K next Saturday, and then taper. But I said, I can't do. Mentally, the idea of doing another 50, I can't.
Yeah.
So we're doing 35K tomorrow, and to be honest, I just needed a bit of a dying week after those 2 weeks for the partner running challenge, and I do feel better this day. Like today, we've had a complete rest day.
Yeah.
And we're just going to
have a rest day.
Oh, because last night we went out for our anniversary and we had a couple of drinks, and I probably could have run today. We didn't drink that much.
We did wake up with a bit of a headache.
Yeah, that's what Panadol's for.
Yeah. But yeah, because of that, and we knew we were going to have, you know, a few drinks last night and some heavy food, and
we did have some deliciously heavy food.
Yeah, so we decided that today would be our rest day, and then tomorrow we're going to head into the city.
Well, the city queue.
Well, yeah, but we're going to run.
Yes, we're going to, so basically we're going to the Melbourne Front Yard Ultra, because I've got to take the ultra flags. And when I'm loading this up, sorry, people, just a bit of housekeeping, home housekeeping, you've got to put the flags in the car.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to go all that way and not have the flags. So I'm going to be taking the ultra flags. So we thought we'll go for a run out that way.
I've already put them in the car.
Oh, good on you. Aren't you awesome? Thank you. See, that's why I married him.
So we're heading out to the Studley Park.
Yeah.
We'll start there.
Yeah.
We'll do our run. We're going to do a 35K loop through.
Loop-de-loop.
We'll go along the Yarra and then cut through Richmond and Carlton and stuff and get across to the Mary River and then come back.
So essentially a road run. Yeah.
So it's going to be mostly road. So we haven't done one of those for a while. You haven't. I did some while you were in the US, but you haven't really done.
I'm just like, oh my God, I'm terrified of tomorrow because there's going to be no hiking up hills.
Yeah. So
it's going to be all running.
So it'll be nice and easy.
Yeah.
And then we'll do another 15 on Sunday.
Yes, and we're going to go do that down at Mornington.
Yes, we're meeting some friends down in Mornington.
We're getting them a private POLS clinic.
Yeah, so that's what happens when you're old school friends with Isabel. You get a private
POLS clinic. Yes, that's right, for her and her husband.
Yeah.
Before they go on their hiking trip.
Yeah, so we're heading down to Dromana. We'll go for a run around Arthur Seat or thereabouts.
Yep, and then do the POLS clinic down there.
Yeah.
And we'll have to remember to take the POLS for that.
Yes.
Nothing worse than going to do a POLS clinic and not having POLS.
Yeah.
So yes, that will be.
That's what our training's looking like at the moment.
Yeah, and then next week we'll do the 60K run.
Yep.
And then it's taper for the Isle of Skye Ultra.
We'll be so after that we've got 2 weeks here where
after next week.
After next week.
Okay.
Where we'll be starting the taper.
And then we'll
jet
off.
The final week of taper
is in Scotland.
In Glasgow.
And by God, I better not fucking get sick this time. I tell you what.
Yes.
Seriously. If I get sick, I don't know what I'm doing.
Catching the boat next time.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know. Slow boat. I'll chuck a tanty. That's what I'll do. Okay. I'll chuck a tanty.
Rightio.
That will help.
Yep.
Yeah, there'll be a bit of whinging if I get.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
I'll have to prepare myself for that.
Yes, because I don't ever whinge. People will think must think that I'm a terrible whinger. I'm not really.
No, you're not.
I'm not that bad.
No.
I don't think.
You're not.
No. So what we're talking about now is motivation versus discipline.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like people often ask me, oh, how do you do so much running? You must be really motivated. How often am I motivated before we run? How motivated do I sound?
You're always full of beans. You're jumping up and down and
excited,
swinging your legs around because you're so excited.
No, normally I'm like, I don't want to do this, aren't I?
Normally we put we sit on the couch to put our shoes on and then we just kind of stare off into the space.
And I'm like, oh my God, I just wish this was over. I don't want to do this. Oh my God. And on the Sunday when we drive to gym before I run, we sit in the car and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I couldn't be bothered. Can we just go home?
And then when we do start our run, after the very first K, if we're doing a 50K run,
I'm like, 49K to go.
Yeah, we're already counting down the Ks after the first one.
It's not too bad once we get into it. But generally, like when we finish the run at the gym, I'm like, oh, that was really good fun.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not. I'm very rarely motivated to run. I am disciplined to run. And I love running. I just couldn't be staffed. Like it's hard work. I love running and I love hard work. But when you've got to do 50Ks or 20Ks, it's like, or you've got to get up and do a quality session in the dark. And I'm like,
you've got to get up at 5:10 in the morning.
Well, and if I'm working at school, I've got to get up earlier than that. And I'm like, I couldn't be bothered. I'm not motivated to run.
No.
I'm not motivated to start my run at 5:15 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. Who's motivated for that?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't go, so wrapped. I can't wait. No, I'm disciplined. I have habits and I've created the identity of a runner for myself, and you have too.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure when you get home after a hard day at work, on your feet the whole day, lifting and carrying heavy things, you're not going, run. That's just what I feel like
wait
doing.
To get home and go.
I don't want to sit on the couch after work and relax. I want to go for a run. Yay. That's not how either of us feels. But we are disciplined. We've created the identity as of runners so that we say, I'm a runner, and what I do is I go for a run.
Yeah.
Right? And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, My identity as a runner is I do quality sessions. And on a Saturday, our identity as runners is we do a long run, right? And that's how we have that identity. But how did we create that identity of a runner? We started with motivation.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's, I guess, motivated to start because that's, how you create those
habits
and the will to make those habits because you're motivated. But when you've been doing it for
20 years, like I have.
20 years, or what have I been doing? 15 years. Motivation
gone out the window.
It doesn't.
I mean, sometimes we're motivated and we're like
if we're running in an interesting or different spot.
Yeah, but when you're doing the same old shit, Groundhog Day, it's hard to feel super motivated. So you've got to create the identity within yourself by doing the runs. And to be honest, when I first started running, I would just repeat to myself, I am a runner as I'm running, because I felt like such an imposter that I used to say that to myself in time with my feet. I am a runner,
Yeah.
And also you reflecting on your runs, reflecting on the runs that feel good and, helps you to create that identity. Thinking about the races you want to do and planning for the races and knowing that if you don't do the training, I mean, I know some people sign up for races with all good intentions to train and they just don't.
Yeah.
I personally could not live with myself. I couldn't live with myself doing that.
And that's a version of motivation because
it's an extrinsic motivation.
Gives you the reason to
reflect on those whys. Yeah. But even then, clearly, that's still not enough motivation for some people because people sign up for races and they don't train and they rock up and go, oh, I didn't train. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a bit disrespectful to a race to rock up and not train. And it's disrespectful to the people who've put in the hard yards. But anyway, don't get me started on that. But also you've got to develop the habits. So, for me, I have my running clothes on the floor next to the bed. So when I get up, they're right there. If I don't put them on, then that's a bit, I will feel bad about that. Yeah. So I set that up. I know I have my rituals every morning, make my coffee, have my coffee, go out and run or do all my 50-minute warm-up stuff. If you've watched that reel, that is a true reel. I do that every single freaking day.
Yep. And then we're not talking about the getting up off the couch and running out the door. We're talking about all the other stuff.
And the reel made it look like it takes a little bit of time. It takes a lot of time, right? So, I do my quad stretches, I do my foot rolling, I do my calf massage, I do my dynamic warm up, I do my contemplating my life decisions.
Both before and after.
Because even when we get out there, after I've done my dynamic warm up, we'll stand there and I'll go, oh God, I don't want to. And you're like, yes, you do. And I'm like, no, I don't.
I constantly have to remind you that you love it.
I know. I'm like, why are we doing this? Why can't we be normal?
Yep. Why can't we just go for a walk and get a coffee?
Like all the other people. And I know, because I'd be bored rigid doing that.
And that's what we talk about after, when we've spent 6 hours of our day running.
If not more.
We get home and Isabel will say, if we weren't runners, what would we have done with all our time?
Yeah, what would we do all day? We'd be bored shitless. Yeah. I would just work.
Yeah.
So, which is terrible. So it's good. It stops me from working too much. To be fair, I'm also thinking about work while we run. I'm thinking about clients. I'm stopping and messaging clients,
Stopping and putting reminders into your phone.
Yeah, like to do things for my clients, so. Yeah. Yeah, like if you're a coach by Peak Endurance Coaching, you get a very personalized service. I'll be replying to clients on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Any excuse to stop.
Yeah, that's right. It depends on when they've caught you. Yeah. If they've caught you at the bottom of a hill, then you might be inclined to stop and message before you climb the hill.
Although sometimes I do put my phone into Do Not Disturb simply because of because I post on social media, all the alerts for people liking the posts. It's a bit distracting.
Yeah.
It's a bit distracting. But anyway, so you cannot expect to be motivated all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be disciplined and organized and have ironclad habits.
Yeah.
You can't just wake up and go, oh, will I or won't I run? No, it needs to be a decision that you've made ahead of time.
And even to the point of going, oh, will I run 5Ks or will I run 10Ks today? You need to decide that beforehand.
The night before.
Yeah, and stick to it, you know, because if you
don't wake up and go, oh, I'll just keep pressing snooze. Oh no, I only have time for 5K.
If you start your run going, oh, will I do 5Ks or will I do 10Ks? You're going to do 5Ks. Yeah. So you've got to decide before you do it what you're doing. Even quite often, and I know Isabel generally likes to do that, is to decide on where you're going to run.
Yes.
Occasionally, I'll do a run where I'll just
make it up as you go.
Make random turns.
I like to know. I even like to know my course the day before, because then I just can picture it in my head. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I also, because I run first thing in the morning, my brain's not working. I can't figure that shit out in the morning.
Yeah.
Like I tried one morning to do one of those, and it was kind of dark, and I didn't have my head torch on, and I got kind of lost. Even though it was the local streets, I got disorientated. Not lost, disorientated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know where the hell I was, and I'm all confuddled, and I'm like, this is too early. I don't know what I'm doing. I still didn't go home, but and this is why, even if you don't have peak endurance coaching, and what are you doing with your life? Why don't you?
Yeah. Seems like a silly thing to say, really.
Really. Because the benefits of having peak endurance coaching is you've got a plan, and someone's taken the cognitive load off you and has done all the thinking for you and put it in there for you. But even if you don't, then you need to at least write a basic plan for yourself. I'm going to do 10K tomorrow. I know a lot of people who don't have coaches or plans, and they just wing it. I couldn't think of anything worse than winging it every day. I did a reel. I don't know if it's gone out yet or if I just scheduled it, but are you running or are you training? Because there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go run every day, but that's not training. That's just running.
Yeah.
Training is intentional, and it's purposeful, and it's structured, and it's just getting up and going for a run. That's just running. And and that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you've got a race coming up, that's not fine. But that's not training. That's just running.
And that essentially is what Isabel does versus what I do, because I do pretty much just run.
Yeah, you just run.
I'm not a racer. I don't do many races, and I don't do as far like.
You don't do speed work, you lazy.
No, I run.
Bugger.
Pretty much 10Ks every day with a rest day through the week. That's just what I do. I don't tend not to do speed work. I might pick up the pace occasionally if I'm feeling all right, but I'm a runner. I just run. I'm not. I don't train because the races I train for are the races that Isabel does. And so
I'm not saying that it's bad to be a runner.
I just like to
That's fine. But if you've got races coming up, you need to be training, not just running.
Yeah.
And if you had a race, then you would.
Yeah.
But I do 2 quality sessions a week. I think even if I didn't have races, I would still do quality sessions, because it just breaks it up. Like, I find doing easy runs every day would get boring for me.
Yeah.
But maybe I'd only do 1 quality. No, I don't know what I would do, because I will always train in races.
That's right. Yeah.
Who are we kidding?
It's a moot point.
I keep saying, Ron, I'm going to give up racing. And I actually admitted it to him the other day. I said to Ron, I don't think I'm ever going to give up racing. Sorry. Yeah.
So look forward to Isabel in her 80s.
I know.
Being that lady that finishes runs in her 80s.
Yeah, god damn. So. Oh my god, I can just imagine it. Skin like leather. Yeah. Hobbling along in a Cliff Young shuffle, which I already have.
Bent over like
a pretzel.
Yeah.
Like I get that too. So, bloody hell. Yeah. So discipline means that you're doing structured workouts, that you're planning ahead, you're scheduling your run, you're treating it with the same respect that you would treat, a meeting, right? It's going to happen. Not, I'm going to do this run if I find the time.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to find the time, sorry, Ron's drink is just leaking water everywhere. You can use that. My snotty tissues. If you're going to run when you find the time, you'll never find the time.
Yeah.
You will never, ever, ever find the time.
What I used to do when I had younger kids, I used to run on the way home from work. I used to stop on the way, I'd take my running gear with me to work, stop on the way home and go for a run, because I knew that as soon as I walked in that house,
you weren't going.
I wasn't going anywhere. Whether it was my own motivation or whether the kids wanted me to do something or wanted my attention.
If you struggle with the motivation, if once you get home, you see that couch of doom and you sit on it, then take your running gear with you and run on the way home.
Yeah. And I knew if I took my gear, I would run. I would stop and I would run.
Yeah.
So, and I had a couple of nice trail or parks, that had trails on the way home. So, I would stop and run there. And that was how I found my, not motivation, but my
discipline.
Habits.
Your discipline. It was your discipline. It's not motivation at all. So, and that worked for you. And for me, to be able to do my strength training on the way home, when I used to work full-time teaching, I would wear my workout gear underneath my school clothes, because it was the only way I could make myself go to gym, by being uncomfortable all day and going, oh yeah, I'm wearing workout gear. And then I would go to gym, because I just normally I'd be so rooted and tired from having been up since 4 running and then teaching all day. I wouldn't do the gym.
It was either your workout gear or your pajamas, and then you just go to sleep after.
Yes, that's it. Well, yes, I would. It was all right, because I'd have my naps on the way home from school in the car.
Yes.
My little power naps.
Power naps, and be woken up by those pesky
kids screaming.
Cars behind you tooting their horn.
And I'm rolling backwards.
Or you've stopped at the lights and didn't go again.
Yeah, it's great. My new car beeps at me when the cars in front go, so I know I'm quite free to shut my eyes at the traffic lights, because my car goes beep beep. The cars are moving on. So
technology.
Whenever I tell Ron that, he freaks out, and I'm like, it's fine.
It's fine until it isn't.
Yeah, it's fine. Has it ever been a problem in all my years? No.
Really?
It's always been fine. It's only been when I've tapered off caffeine that it's been a problem. So it's instilling those habits, finding habits that work for you. Maybe putting your clothes at the end of the bed doesn't work for you. I don't know, but find something that works, because waiting to find the time, wait till I find the time, or wait till I find the motivation, it's not going to happen. No. It's like waiting till you're ready for anything. Like, you'll never be ready for anything. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
I always say imperfect action trumps no action, so at least, at first, just do running. If that's what works for you, just do running and then move into training. But I also find that if you've got a schedule, you're more likely to stick to it. Give yourself a bloody gold star each day, if that helps.
Yeah.
Tick it off, put it in your to-do list app on your phone. If you haven't got a proper plan, like from good coaches like us, in your to-do list, and 10K run Monday, Tuesday do this, and then tick them off as you do them. It gives you a little dopamine hit of, woohoo, I've done it. In our app, people can, tick it off and click that they've done it. And then at the end of the week, they'll get feedback from us, those sorts of things.
That's right. And at the very least, if you don't have a coach coming up with your plan, come up with a rough plan for the week yourself, so that
something basic.
You know what to expect for the week.
So you know what to do, and you're not like, oh, what should I do tomorrow? Oh, I don't know.
And don't ever miss a 10K run and then make it up with a 20K run the next day.
Yes. Don't go 4 days without training, go, shit, I better do 25Ks tomorrow to make up for, all the 8K runs I missed, and do them all in one hit. And then you're so sore, you've got to take 4 days off, and then you do it again, another 40K run. Oh, but now I'm so sore, I better take another week off. That's not good for you either.
That's not training.
It's got to be that's definitely not training. It's got to be consistent, regular runs. That's what strengthens your tendons and your ligaments and builds the engine. These massive runs every once a week is not going to help you.
No.
Being a weekend warrior is not going to help you develop the strength and the fitness and the consistency.
That's right. And as we always say, consistency is the key.
It is the key.
Yep.
It's the king, it's the queen, it's the whole goddamn kingdom.
It is.
Yeah. I know a lot of people don't want to say consistency is king anymore because that's sexist. So they say consistency is queen. No, it's consistency is king. That's a fucking saying. Who gives a shit? Anyway, pardon my French. I get pissed off at the stupid things people focus on that don't matter.
Focus on the consistency.
Yeah, focus on the consistency, not whether it's king, queen, bloody jester, who knows? Like, seriously, just get consistent. And it's king. I'm not going to say consistency is queen. It's king. To my mind, it's consistency is king or key, either one. Yeah. But it's important.
It is. Either way, it's important.
It's important. And, it just makes me feel, even if I dread a run, I'm like, I couldn't be bothered. Like, I just feel so much better after I've run. Like, you just will. Once you get that consistency, your body needs it almost to feel normal, which maybe sounds bad. And I know people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want
that to be my normal.
Sound like a drug addict as well. Need to take that, that snort or whatever just to feel normal each day. No, yes, maybe it is a bit like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just like if I don't do my run, I just feel a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
I just... and I love it. I love feeling superior to all the people who didn't run. No, not really. I just love that feeling of having run and knowing that I did one thing today that really looked after my health and my body and my happiness, my mental health, not just my physical health, but my mental health. Because I know if I just spend the whole day indoors, I just feel shit.
Yeah.
But if I've get out and I've moved my body and been out in the fresh air, it's not really fresh out there, but relatively fresh air, it's just, I just think it's super important.
It is. And the habits that we make, the good habits that we make are what keep life interesting and ticking over. And you see, and because it's surprise peoples, we are in our 50s.
Yes. We see other people our age.
Other people like who
aren't
whether we went to school with them or
oh my god,
or you see movies and later on you realize that actor is your age and you think, how the hell do they look like that?
They look like old.
And if nothing, gets us out running more than that, to maintain our active lifestyle.
I mean, there's some motivation, people, is to have a healthy. I was about to say older age. We're not old.
Sometimes we feel it.
Yeah, tonight I feel it. That's what drinking, does to me. I feel like I don't have a hangover. I'm just knackered. My body is not used to processing alcohol. So, if nothing else, motivate yourself by, I want to be a healthy older person, not one of these old people that, just going for a walk is hardcore, like seriously, the human body is designed to move. So don't just, I'll find time for run. No, make time for you. You're important, dear listener. You are important enough to find an hour for yourself. If you cannot find an hour for yourself, there's something seriously wrong with your priorities in your life. You need to find that 1 hour.
And that, that is important, not just for you, but for the people around you. If you can't find an hour because, you've got to give
everything to everyone else,
everything to everyone else, you're not giving the best of yourself to everyone else.
No, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah. So you need to work on yourself before you can.
And if the people in your life don't understand that you need an hour for yourself, there's something wrong going on there too.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. And that needs to be reevaluated. Even your kids can do, without you for an hour. Like, honestly, it's good for them. It's good for your kids to see that parents have interests and, goals, because you're their role model for their future.
That's right.
They don't, they want to see that in the future they will be able to do other things as well, not just work and sit on the couch.
And nothing, I guess when they're teenagers, maybe they become a bit different, but to a younger child, or, when I say between, say, 5 and 12, to have their parents involved in their activities is pretty awesome.
In their activities?
Like if they're...
In the kids' activities?
Yeah, in the kids. So,
as in meaning that you can play with them.
Or if they play netball, to see their parents taking an active part in their sport.
But what's running got to do with that?
Keeping fit and active.
Okay, like, but it's not taking an active part in their sport.
Not to being able to, having the strength and fitness to be able to take part. If
You've lost me. You've lost me.
Okay, right. If you're sitting on the couch, chain smoking and watching movies, you're not going to be able to get up on a Saturday morning and be a runner for your son's football team, or be a coach, or carry water. You're going to be standing on the sideline or sitting on the sidelines going, Jesus, when this is going to be over, I'm buggered.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the people listening to this aren't ever going to be sitting smoking. And
no, but my point is that the more active and the more you look after yourself, the more you can give to your children or partner.
Yes.
Or...
I don't necessarily think within their sports, because you might not, but just being, you could train with them, I guess, I suppose. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. I mean, my dad, I grew up playing ice hockey. My dad used to, at training, he'd be out on the ice helping. He was the sports medicine, so he'd be out on the ice looking after the other players, carrying water. He was an active part of my sporting life.
Were you an active part of your kids' sports?
My kids didn't really. When they did like little laths and things.
Yeah.
Yes. My daughter was a swimmer, so I couldn't really get in the pool with her. But I did, I sit in the stands and watch. But as a swimmer, there's not really much a parent can do.
No, there's not. Yeah, and I mean, my kids didn't do a lot, but I did coach my son's basketball team for a while, and I didn't play sports as a kid, so my parents never.
Yes, and I coached when she played basketball. I coached my daughter's basketball team for 7 years. We did little laths. I was always there helping out at the little laths.
Yeah. So anyway, they need to see. We're starting to just get on with it.
Yeah. So being active, having an active lifestyle does.
I just think it's
add to everyone's life around you.
It is. It's good for kids to see that you are active. And although my kids haven't followed me into running, they are active now in their own ways. I mean,
setting a good example.
Yes, a good healthy example. And my kids actually have followed suit with a healthy lifestyle, in general. So that's, you'd be surprised, even if, like, my daughter, I didn't know any of this had an effect until she was in her 20s. Like, who knew, So you might not see it straight away. You might not see it for 10 years, the effect that your running and your healthy eating and all that has. So even that is a motivation for you. So, and that's the thing, motivation can come, although I'm saying don't rely on motivation, but you can come from many different things, from having a race, from wanting to be a good role model for your kids, from wanting to have a good old age, like use those things to motivate you, but use discipline to keep you on track. Because
those things will, at 5:30 in the morning, those things probably aren't going to seem quite as important.
Yeah, it's like, fuck the kids.
So, fuck off. And that's where you need the discipline.
Yeah. So, and that's where discipline comes in, because, and that's why, like the other day, I was really tired because I haven't been sleeping that well. And Ron said, why don't you just sleep in tomorrow? And I'm like, no, because it's a habit for me to get up at 5. I don't want to start a sleeping in habit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I'm still going to get up. I'm just going to go to bed earlier.
Yeah.
But like we said, it doesn't matter how early we go to bed. We still wake up going, I don't want to get up.
That's right.
Like it's 6 o'clock now. We could go to bed now and I still wouldn't want to get up.
Yeah.
But anyway. So yes, it is 6 o'clock on Friday night and my stomach is growling because those chocolate eggs did not fill me up enough.
No.
We had a beautiful, healthy lunch. We had kangaroo meat wraps with lots of salad.
Yeah, we had lovely
And then
breakfast.
I knew the eggs were there and I thought, no, instead I'll have a crumpet with peanut butter and jam as my sweet treat because it's also a bit of carb loading for tomorrow. And that's still, and then I saw you eating chocolate eggs and went,
we had some of those little,
that's
little
what you
eggs
ate. I ate
on a tray in the table, and they've been calling out my name for the last 2 days.
Right, you've been eating them for the last 2 days.
No, I haven't. I haven't had any for the last 2 days.
You ate both packets. I haven't only eaten one of them. Did you know? That's 2 packets.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was last weekend. I ate one of those packets last weekend. Yeah.
Anyway, so I ate my dark.
Consequently, I ate the second packet this afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, did you finish them?
Yes, I did.
Oh my goodness. Well, I ate a bit of my dark bunny.
Yeah.
So, at least it was dark chocolate.
And then I plan to eat some more chocolate after dinner tonight.
Do you?
Yeah. I've got to get it done because otherwise.
I know. It's so hard just sitting there. I've still got another full dark bunny that I haven't started. At least it was a little one, thank God. And I haven't finished my milk bunny. They're all Lindt bunnies. I don't eat Cadbury.
No.
It's just, it gives me a headache just looking at
Chocolate snob.
But it gives me a headache. The sugar. Oh my God. The first ingredient's sugar, isn't it? Not chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's great.
Anyway, how did we devolve from motivation and discipline to chocolate?
Because you need the motivation and discipline to keep eating chocolate. No,
well, right. I was thinking eating the chocolate gives you motivation to run it off. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, we digress.
If eating chocolate was an Olympic sport,
you would
be
win.
World champion.
You would. I would be pretty piss poor, wouldn't I?
You would.
Yeah, because you'll eat every night and you'll go, why aren't you eating chocolate? I'm like, I don't feel like it.
No.
I literally don't feel like it. But today, once again, I blame the alcohol from last night, weakened my will and resolve and strength of character. And I became a chocolate monster just like you. Oh my God. So anyway, we just want everyone to love running and be a part of it, and be motivated. Like, honestly, you feel more proud of yourself when you get your runs done.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
So don't rely on motivation.
Times, when we're doing our Sunday, recovery run, that we sit in the, like you said before, we go to the gym, we sit in the car thinking, what are we doing?
And I'm like, I just wish it was over. Why do we do this? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? We
force ourselves, we go for a run. At the end of the run, we say, that was really good.
Yeah,
we enjoyed that.
It was fun. I loved it. Yeah. It's awesome. Let's keep running.
No, let's now go and work out in the gym. Yay!
Yeah, we're really motivated for that too. Yeah.
I'll never be motivated.
No, you won't be. You're making me not. So with your whinging, you whinge about doing gym.
I do whinge about the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
That is my weakness.
Yes, it is. It is. And next week we are going to discuss suffering.
We've done a fair bit of that. I hope you people appreciate it. We've been doing a lot of research into suffering
by
suffering.
Yeah. My God, since I got back from Barclay, most of my long runs have been suffer fests, like seriously suffer fests.
So I feel like we're well experienced and able to talk about it.
Talking about training suffering and why it's important and why it's good and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Because it is important to train suffering. And you train it on a regular by training with me. Am I wrong?
Just in a different way.
Yeah, just in a different way. So I train it by running, you train it by running with me.
You train it by doing your own silly things. Something we didn't speak about was the injury you got on not last week, but the week before.
Oh, fine. Yes.
It's an unusual injury.
Is that the cut on my hand?
Yes.
There was a bit of, it wasn't swordgrass. I was reflecting on that because I know what swordgrass is. It was this weird grass. It was tubular.
Right.
But it was like a razor. And I often, as I'm running along, I'll just break bits of branches off.
Or a flower, and you'll break the flower off and smell the flower and then throw it away.
Yeah. Don't tell everyone that. That's normally lavender I do that with. And there's so much. I don't do regular flowers, just lavender, people. They're thinking I'm destroying everything. No, but if there's a fern overhanging, I'll break it so that the next runner who comes through doesn't get their head whacked. And I don't know why I grabbed this. I don't know. I just was a bit out of sorts. And this was one of the Sufferfest runs. Yes, that was the 42K run where I felt shit anyway.
Yeah. We weren't
and that
too
was
far
my,
in.
yeah. So what?
We weren't too far into
it. No. And I grabbed it. And I said it was like, like babies, once they grab a fist and they grab a hold of something, they've got the clench reflex. I literally could not let go. And I'm pulling my hand along it. And it was like a razor. It was like holding a razor. I've still got scars. I've got a scar here. And it literally dug in and cut all my fingers, and there was blood everywhere. I'm like, Ron, I think we need to stop. And I'm like, I think I've done something silly. I didn't want to open my hands. When you cut your hand on a knife.
It hurts, it stings, there's blood.
And well, when you cut it on a knife, for me, my general worry is how fucking deep was that? I'm not really 100% sure. Do I need to get stitches? I don't want to look.
Yeah.
But and I opened it up and it was just blood everywhere. And it was just like so painful. And luckily I had just enough Band-Aids. Oh my God, it was ridiculous.
Trail maintenance.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But you know, all the band-aids on my fingers, I said later, it was good because it was from wiping my snot off. It's like a little absorbent.
Yeah, yes. You didn't have to use your watch strap for a change.
No, my watch strap. I don't use that.
Well, you've got a cloth watch strap now. So.
Now you're giving me ideas. That's going to be really feral.
We did another thing. We did actually both buy new watches.
Well, you didn't buy.
No, that's why I say we got new watches. Yeah. We've had Garmin 945s for the last couple of years. And
mine always shortchanges me, and it just...
And mine, one of the buttons wasn't working very well. It kept sticking and not changing the screens.
Because you would just crack the shit.
Yeah. So we decided it was time to get new watches.
And also I knew mine, because the battery on mine was shit, but it wasn't going to last for my Ultra in Scotland. And I didn't want to be dealing with the hassle of trying to charge it, because charging Garmin's are not easy. You have to take them off.
Yeah, you can't wear them and charge them.
No. So I got the Garmin Enduro 3, which is awesome. And it's got the cloth strap. And at first I was like, oh, that's going to chafe to the bejesus. But no, it does not. And I've worn it on some long runs, and it's humongous, but it's not that bad. Yours, which is smaller, is actually heavier.
Yes. And I got the Garmin Epix Pro,
because that's what he could get on with his Qantas points.
Because I used Qantas points because I had quite a few there, so I got my watch for free. It does, the battery life isn't anywhere near as long as Isabel's, but I don't do the long runs that she does, so it doesn't need to be.
And he's not as stupid as me, so yes.
So so we.
So I'm loving it. I didn't love the way in my workouts it would tell me what to do. For a couple of reasons, like the Garmin lady would go, rest done, run for 3 minutes or whatever. Then at the end of the 3-minute effort, she'd tell me a pace that was wrong, slower. And it's there on my watch, the correct pace. And she'd tell me like 30 seconds per kilometer slower. And I'm like, bitch don't tell me this shit. I did way better than that. She would tell me the wrong pace. And I'd be like, oh. And so it was getting me a bit antsy. So I had to get rid of her.
So
but I love it. The maps are awesome on these. They've both got topo maps, which is topographic maps, which means you can see contours and proper. You can actually see where you're going, not just some weird line.
Because I had, we had maps on the 945, but they just weren't.
You couldn't tell where you
couldn't tell. It didn't when you looked at it. It didn't show trails leading off the trail you're on, so it could get very confusing as to where you were.
Yeah, where you were actually turning.
Yeah.
And mine's got touchscreen, my watch, but I've got it just for maps for touchscreen.
Yep. So we're looking forward. We've already done a couple of long runs using the maps on the watch, and it's worked really well.
So I'm going to put the course of the Scottish map on there because, I've got this map, this handy dandy map for the Sky Ultra, really handy,
it's
to be
big old
during
school
the race.
For those listening, it's just an old school big paper map.
Old school map. And it's like
because the course isn't marked, it's a.
And I'm not wearing a reading glass. Like I literally, that just looks like a bunch of squiggly lines. Like, what the hell am I going to do?
It's an official walking trail. So there are, the British trail markers.
Yes, but still,
but there's no race marking.
No,
on the course,
it's not a marked course. And so I don't want to be pulling that. And I just realized then I'm not even going to have reading glasses. I mean, I'll maybe take my Barclay glasses, but it'll be so much easier having it on my watch and knowing that the battery life is good. It's going to last. It's going to be fine. So I highly recommend the Enduro 3 if you've got a spare $1,500 lying around, which I didn't. That's what credit cards are for.
Yes, that's right.
As I keep saying, but I'm just really glad. Like I'm wrapped that I bought this because just mainly for the battery life. Yeah. Because the 945 was a great watch. I loved it, but the battery life, doing Coast to Cozzy, we had to charge it halfway. And it just eliminates that issue. And yours, you'd still be able to do 100. I reckon you could do over 100 k's.
I get when I charge it, I get about. I could at full charge. I can get about 24 hours of GPS.
Oh, okay.
Usage.
Okay, so you could get 100k in.
So I could do 100k with it. Yeah.
But you did 100k with the 945 too, and so did I usually. But
it's just the longer one. The races where you did the Coast to Cozzy and the FKTs that you did.
Like the FKT, we were charging that constantly.
So
so if you're thinking about getting a watch, what was your one again? The Epix?
The Epix Pro.
Yeah, and it's really heavy because it's got like a crystal.
Yeah, it's a sapphire
crystal sapphire.
Yeah, so it's a solid watch. It's a good solid watch, because I think it's also for like adventure racing and that sort of thing.
So, but mine's just for whatever.
Ultra, probably ultra.
And my friend Kenny at Barclay, he was the one who recommended that I get it.
It does have solar charging as well.
Yes, mine has solar charging. So that's also, which won't be that handy in Scotland, but anyway.
That's true.
So that's that. And exciting, very exciting. So, we love Anya watches, and once again, we went out for dinner last night and that was quite expensive, but we generally don't do anything.
No, we don't spend a lot of money on
it. We sit at home most nights on the couch watching Netflix or YouTube, and we treat ourselves to these this is our treats.
Yeah, that's right.
And I shoes. Think, although I haven't bought shoes in a while, so and European trips. But these are our treats, and I think we both work hard. We work really hard, both of us, really hard, and we train hard, and
so when we do have fun, we want to have fun doing the things.
Make sure it's related to running.
Doing the things that we love, i.e. running.
Yeah, that's right. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because the people who are listening to this and nodding along going, 100%, I'd better go buy myself some new shoes and some new...
And book that next trip to Europe.
Yes. And do you know what? The thing is, people are happy to spend $1,500 on a watch, $400 on new shoes, but they won't pay for coaching.
Yeah.
I do not understand that mentality, because the coaching is the thing that will help you improve the most. The watch will not help you improve.
No.
Like the metrics, no, I'm sorry that, and the running shoes will help you maybe run better for a week.
Yeah. The Garmin Coach thing is a great gimmick, but in reality, if everyone was exactly the same, if everyone was a robot, it'd be great.
Yeah, but we're not. So
no one's a robot, and everyone trains differently.
Yeah. So I really recommend getting coaching, and I obviously recommend Peak Endurance Coaching, because I personally, I believe we are the best. And I'm not saying that to be facetious. I have a lot of confidence in our programs. If you follow our training programs, you will improve. You will. So that's my belief, and I fully believe that we have a great program and a great community, and we love our athletes.
Tailored to the individual athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. No blocks, cookie cutter here.
No, in 4-week blocks with
regular, unlimited changes.
Yeah, regular potential changes depending on life.
Your life,
And
I consider my athletes my friends.
And for instance, one of my athletes had to go on a child excursion the other day. A school excursion with their child. So we swapped a few runs around to make that much easier for her to cope with.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the sort of thing we do here.
Yep, that's right. Because life happens, kids get sick, or work slams you, or you get sick, and so it's all part of it.
Yep. You won't get it in a spreadsheet, and
no spreadsheets here,
and a message saying I'll see you next month.
No app, lots of contact, and like I said, I'll be in a long run replying to clients. A
really interactive app as well. It's
a good interactive app. Yep. It's like a training diary. Athletes writing it, and goes to your watch, and anyway we banged on enough about that. Like, honestly, I just fully 100% believe in our coaching, and I know how good it is, and we work hard, and I work hard because I love it, and I love all our athletes. I really am invested in everyone. So
But Peak Endurance,
have a good life, because I feel like we do good with the coaching, because I really believe that running is good for people, not just for their physical health, but their mental health and their outlook on life, and the discipline that we're talking about. goes into your other parts of your life.
It does. It's a handy tool to have in life.
Yeah, so and when we talk about suffering next week, the ability to suffer helps you with all of life, you know. If you've got kids, oh my God, you need to be able to suffer.
Prepared to suffer.
Yes. So anyway, enough about that. Thank you so much for joining us. And we really appreciate you taking the time, because we know there's a bajillion podcasts out there, and you could have chosen any podcast, but you chose us.
Chose us.
Good choice.
Thank
choice.
You for,
choice.
Yes, thank you for the confidence you put in us.
Yes, you know, and
to keep you entertained on your run.
Yes, I hope it was entertaining, but also educational, educational.
Educational. It's always important.
It is very important. So, sorry we didn't do anything last week. It was Easter. We were tired.
It was Easter.
We were in a chocolate
that's right.
haze, you know. So, you know, life came in, took over, and we were a bit knackered. And I was knackered from the partner running challenge, to be honest. Like, seriously, that was hardcore. I mean, I know a lot of athletes, you know, you hear about doing 160-mile weeks, but seriously,
those
I don't know how they do it. That's their full-time job.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and also probably more on roads. I did a lot of that on trails, and they're probably 20 times faster than me, which means they get it done quicker. Anyway, all right. Have a great week, everybody. Weekend, long run, commute, whatever you're doing whilst you're listening to our dulcet tones. And we appreciate you, and catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.